Hello everyone, my name is Yash. I am a computer science major doing my master's at Texas A&M University. Thank you so much for this opportunity to build a project and showcase my skills you build projects. I'm super excited for this activity and let's begin. So the primary tools that I use for my coding is Cursor, and I use Claude for brainstorming or asking other questions. Before beginning, I always initialize Git, and I also create a repo on GitHub. So before beginning, instead of asking Cursor to immediately start writing code, what I do is I ask it to first write some plan. I explain what is the project that I'm trying to do. I explain everything, what is the tech stack that I want to use, what are the objectives of this project, what I want to achieve through this project, and what would be like a visual theme. And I give it a very specific details of what the whole project is about and how I want to achieve it. So I start by using the plan mode and I write a detailed prompt and I make it write the plan first. I ask it to ask me questions if the cursor is not sure about any particular things. And once I am done writing the plan, I also do make changes to the plan that it has created. And once we finalize and come to a final plan, I ask it to create a cursor folder in the project directory and add this plan in a subfolder called as plan. So I'll start by writing the prompt for the plan, and based on the instructions that were given to me on the email, I'll start writing. I want to build a web-based vehicle visualization tool that looks and feels like Tony Stark's Jarvis hologram interface, dark, cinematic, futuristic, and I explain what is the tech stack. The tech stack that I will be using for this project is, for the front end, I will be using React and JS. As you can see, I already have downloaded a .glb car model from Sketchfab after doing some research about which model to use. I'm using a sedan car and like assuming it will be an autonomous car, and I checked what all meshes it had and the features that I plan to implement. It had all those meshes, so I'm planning to use them. So to get the right model, I did some brainstorming with Claude, and I'll explain that use CLTF loader to load the CLP car model. And for the backend, I will be using Python plus the Fast API because I'm very comfortable and confident with Fast API for writing the backend API and along with WebSockets. And then I won't be using any database. I'll be using in-memory database and must run entirely on the web browser after posting. Then I'll explain the visual theme of the project. I want it to be a deep dark background, navy blue, and maybe neon colors for accent. I'll be explaining how the model should work. Load the car model and it should be able to fully rotate 360 degrees or orbital controls, and using orbit controls and rotate zoom freely, and low auto rotate when idle, that stops when the user grabs the mouse. And I'll be explaining the dynamic controls via REST API plus web sockets. To start with, I will try to implement 3 controllable aspects. First one is brake lights, to be able to toggle on off the rear light meshes glow red when on. Second one would be the headlights, and third one would be the car paint color cycle through 3 to 4. So after this, I'll say the control panel. We need a panel on the side or bottom of the screen, and each control should be a glowing toggle button and also show the current vehicle state live in the UI. I also explain the WebSocket architecture. When the REST API endpoint is hit, the backend updates its state and casts the new state to all connected WebSocket clients. The front end listens and immediately reflects the change in the JS scene. Project structure would be front end and back end, and then I'll prompt it to write the plan. Let's start by writing a detailed plan with full file structure, breaking down the project and features into parts so that we can implement it part by part. If you are not sure about anything, this is usually I ask it so that we can brainstorm it together. Ask me clarifying questions and we can brainstorm together. So this is usually the kind of prompt that I give for it to plan. And let's start by planning the whole project first. So it's asking me questions and I like answering them so that we are clear on the kind of decisions that we take before moving on to project. So as we can see, it has provided me with a plan and I'll view the plan and read it in detail. It has also provided me with a mermaid chart about how things will be, and I try to make changes wherever required. It's provided me with the directory layout and that seems good to me. I will ask to only relocate this .glb file, and it has provided me with the exact details about the REST API endpoints, the front end React and 3JS structures, then the control panel. I have read through all of these, and as I had said, it has provided me different phases to implement this project so that we develop this project phase by phase, part by part, and as we develop them, we mark them as completed in this plan, and we also commit the project as we progress through these various phases. This helps me in keeping a nice repository structure and version control for my projects. So after reviewing this plan thoroughly, I have made a few changes wherever required and it seems good to me. So I'll instruct it to start building with phase 0, where we copy the GLB file and place it in a proper structure. But before moving on, I will ask it to save this detailed plan by also creating a folder in the root of this project called cursor. This is usually the practice that I follow. In that folder, I have two subfolders. First one will be plan subfolder. Place this plan in this folder and name it as scope.md, and the second folder will be the cursor rules, and I'll also have a third folder called as commands. Usually I have it so that I write the commands needed for creating pull requests or any other such GitHub Git related commands. So as you can see, it has created the cursor folder, and now I will ask it to start implementing with phase 0 of the project. Once done implementing, mark it as completed in the scope.md file. And usually for the model, I use any Claude based models like Sonnet 4.6 or Opus, but I'm out of my API limit for this month, so I'll be using the Composer model, and I'll switch to the agent mode. So as you can see, the car model was copied and it has created the .gitignore file for me. As we can see that it went ahead and created the full project structure, and it also created the virtual environment which otherwise I create in the backend. So I'll activate the virtual environment and also install the required libraries. And once I'm done implementing phase 0, what I usually do is I try to keep the context gauge over here as low as possible, because that helps in your model understanding much better context. And otherwise, if you keep appending features in the same chat, then the model quality or the response generally degrades. So for each feature or each phase of the project, I usually create a new agent for every specific purpose. So as you can see, I have created a new chat for implementing the phase 1. So I'll ask it to let's implement phase 1 and mark it as completed on completing the implementation. So phase 1 will be building the core of our backend, where it will build the fast API app and the other REST routes plus WebSocket endpoint. So it has implemented the phase 1. It explains me what it has implemented, all the REST API endpoints as we had described, and after reviewing them, they seem fine to me for now. If required, later on we will be adding more endpoints and making changes. So I'll host the backend UVCon server to see the backend endpoints that have been created. Have started the UVCon server, and since we finished implementing phases 0 and 1, it has went to the plan and also marked it as completed. So this helps me track what phases are completed. I'll go ahead and commit the progress made up till now. And other practices that I follow is, let's say if I want to backtrack to any of the previous progresses in the chat, I use this backtrack button which backtracks to that state of the project. Moving on to phase 2, I'll again create a new agent. Let's start implementing phase 2 of the project. Refer to the scope.md. Let me know if you need any inputs from my side. Please start implementing it, and once done, mark it as completed in scope.md. So usually I've noticed that using words like please or thank you to help in slightly improving the performance of the models. It might sound unscientific, but I've read a few Reddit conversations where they seem to have seen better results by using such words. So as we can see, it plans and the implementation, it plans the next moves. So I just keep following what cursor implements. Use the solo feature of cursor, which is super awesome. While it is implementing, I keep an eye on which files and which components it has been changing or adding code to, so that it helps me also key in the loop of the code development. So as you can see, implementing, it has marked phase 2 as complete in the scope.md, and I do review what the code has been added to which files. If the code base is too large, I do very quick eyeballing. If only a few files have been edited, I try to read line by line what code has been written by cursor, so that I stay in touch with the overall development loop. And after reading what was implemented, it seems fine to me. After posting the front end, I have been able to see the WebSocket open and vehicle fields from the first message, and the API health is okay. So seems good to me. Now moving on to phase 3 of the project, I'll again create a new agent for the new phase, and I'll prompt it to. So it has done implementing the phase 3. I have also set up a notification sound through settings. When it has done implementing some feature, it notifies me if I'm looking away from the project. It has come up with some basic UI, which we'll try to further enhance it by providing much more details. Before I do that, I would also like to explain a few other tricks or techniques that I use while coding with cursor. So I use @ symbol to specifically reference a particular file or a folder, so that cursor understands which folder to touch while implementing changes. I also use /summarize to summarize the conversation, because I keep an eye regularly on the gauge over here, which tells me how much context has been used. I try to keep it as low as possible, because that helps the model better understand the context of the development flow that we have been implementing. And if it goes above, let's say 50%, I try to summarize the whole chat to the model, so that the previous chat gets summarized before passing on to the model. And I also start new conversations frequently for new features or new parts of the project. This is like a good practice for implementing using cursor. Since we are done implementing phase 3, I'll go ahead and I'll commit the changes made. I use proper commit messages in order to understand later on that if you want to backtrack. Or now moving on to phase 4, I'll again choose a new agent. So while it is implementing phase 4, the reason that I create this cursor folder is that it is the plan basically of the whole project that we are trying to implement, which cursor keeps visiting every time doing some change or implementing some code, and it understands what the whole project is about, which helps it to perform better. In cursor rules, I add a .cursor rules file where I add some specific rules about the project for the cursor to follow, like the themes or the component style or the component family or the color palette that we are following for a project. And in the commands, I add the commands such as like creating pull requests. Then I ask it to view the changes of our branch and the main branch and create a pull request. So as you can see, it has completed phase 4 and it tells me how it has been wired. I read through this thoroughly so that I understand what has been implemented, which files have been touched, how the project has been wired. And since we are done implementing phase 4, I'll again commit it. And as you can see, it has marked phase 4 as completed. Moving on to phase 5, I'll again create a new agent and while it is implementing, I can see that it has come up with some basic UI and even the model is not clearly visible or it's not really moving as we expect. So I'll further try to enhance the UI and the UX once we are done implementing all the phases. So I just want to ensure that according to the plan, it first implements the phases. And so as you can see, it has updated few files and also plan has been marked as completed. So as you can see, it has created this UI with the toggle lights on for headlights and brake lights, and it is working, but the car is not yet visible properly. So let me just prompt it to improve the part of where we are able to fully zoom. So I prompted that I'm not able to zoom in and out for a 3D model. Can you please ensure that I am able to really zoom in and out? So as you can see, it has been implementing the changes that I asked. It explained me what were the causes and what are the changes. After reviewing, try to check it if the changes were made, and it seems like the car model size did increase, but I'm not able to still zoom in or out. So I prompt it again that I am still not able to zoom in or out. Please ensure the zoom in out works smoothly. Maybe also additionally provide a plus and minus button to control the zoom. I have undergone few prompt engineering courses to improve my prompt engineering efficiency, and being a AI engineer, prompt engineering is one of the core and most critical skills that I have paid attention to improving. As I use techniques such as few shot prompting or few shot examples and try to explain the model much better. And with over a period of prompting different models, I have got into the art of prompting in a much better way. I ask it to reason yourself or provide me with the reasons for decisions taken so that it further enhances the model's performance. But in case of cursor, it already does the reasoning, so I don't need to use much of those techniques. So as you can see now, the zoom does work, but still the overall car model has been confined to a particular maximum size. So I'll prompt it that the zoom in out is working fine, but the maximum zoom possible has been confined to a max size. I want to be able to zoom in much more than that, such that I can have a very close look at the car's features or body. So as you can see, after my request for being able to perform much better zoom, it has implemented it, and on testing you can see that the car size is much better viewable, and this seems much better. And the main three features which we had requested, one is toggling the headlights on and off. This seems to be not working well, but the tail lamps seem to be working well. Let me confirm if the headlights is still working as expected, and I can also change the color of the car. So these are the three main features that we have implemented via REST API and WebSockets. And as you can see, when not moving, the car slowly keeps tilting, and this feature seems very cool, which we had provided it in the initial planning phase. So now moving on to the phase 6 of the project. As you can see, it has completed the phase 6 as well, which was the overall structure for deploying this project. I would also like to show endpoints that we have created using Fast API. So in the Swagger UI, I usually try to go through the endpoints created and also test them using the Swagger API, providing few parameters or anything. This helps me to ensure whether the backend is working fine. Now, since we have completed with phase 6, I'll go ahead and first commit it. So whatever the basic features that we had proposed in the initial plan have been achieved, but I'm still not happy with the overall UI of the project. So what I do is I've searched how Tony Stark's Jarvis hologram looks like, and I'll try to paste a picture of it, so that I'll choose a new agent for that. I'll paste the picture and I'll prompt it. So I'll take inspiration from this picture and I'll prompt it to further improve the UI so that we get a much better UI rather than the basic controls that we have. I usually paste images or whatever the errors that we are getting directly into the prompt. This is one of the few that I like about Cursor, that we are able to also paste images, whatever app I am developing or whatever projects that have involved UI or any other ideas. That helps me to better explain how to improve the visualization of the UI of my projects. So I'll prompt it, take inspiration from the attached image, place the car or the model in the center of the UI, and I need circular toggle buttons for the headlight. For brake lights, use a brake pedal like icon to toggle on off, and for color switch also use some creative icon. Don't keep the UI too simplistic, so it needs to look very high-end and sophisticated. Use all your creativity in designing the UI and UX of the project. So as you can see, it has gone ahead and according to my request and instructions in the prompt, it has changed the layout. It has made a few changes which I reviewed while it was developing, and after reading what it changed, it seems little better to me as compared to the previous version. And as we can see, this is the current updated UI, which has been much better and uplifted from the previous version. So here we have for the headlamps to toggle on and off, and for the brake lights this works fine. And for the color change, it has come up with a cool color change feature that you can choose which color you want to put on the car, which seems pretty cool to me. And even the zoom in and zoom out seems to be working very good now. It shows the system okay. This is basically the backend, and while it's idle, it is also rotating itself in very slow motion, which gives it a very live and active look for our app. I like paying attention particularly to the UI or the front end aspects of my project, because I believe that good visuals help users or other people seeing my projects have a better feeling about the project. But I see that the 60-degree view is currently not working well, as we are not able to see the lower part of the car. So I'll try to prompt and ask it to make changes. Be great. But the 60-degree view is not working completely fine because I am not able to view the lower part of the car or under the car. So please make the required changes. Okay, so it has made the change, and now I can see the 360-degree view works very good. And as per the initial plan that we had proposed, the three features or the three meshes that we planned to implement were the headlamps, brake, and the color change feature, which is working absolutely fine. And even the 360-degree view works very good. And the overall UI seems much better to me now. I can use much more creativity to further enhance the UI. I would like to place these buttons in much better manner, maybe some at the lower part of the screen, or increase the size of those buttons and further use all my creativity to make this UI feel much advanced and sophisticated. One feature I would like to try to implement is I want to be able to open the doors, as well as I need a button to close and open the mirrors of the car. So I'll try to implement that. I'll choose a new agent for implementing this feature. I want to be able to also open the doors of the car, and to open them I want to click on the door handles of the car. Also, I need another buttons to open and close the side mirrors of the car, and also open the boot and the hood of the car by clicking on them. As you can see, I tried implementing that feature, but it did not work as expected, as those meshes did not exist in the GLB file of this model. It has implemented some work around it by using some invisible handles for the hood or the door, which I don't like. So I'll backtrack to the previous state of the project, and for doing that I use this feature from the cursor, that in any part of the conversation you can just backtrack to that state by using this button. So I'll just discard the changes up to this checkpoint, and as you can see I have discarded. And moving back onto the project, the car is now again as before. So this is a very useful feature of cursor that I find, and yes, it does work as expected. So that's about it. The glimpse of few of those tricks or features that I use from the AI coding tools or the platforms that I use, my prompt engineering skills, their best programming practices, development practices. And after this, I'll be hosting my project using Vercel, and providing a way for the viewers of this project to come and play with the model. And if just to be considerate with the time, I am not proceeding with improving the UI further, but I can definitely play more with it, use all my creativity to improve the UI. So after playing with the background, lighting, and the surroundings, and choosing the right colors and changing a lot of things, just to make the visuals look much more appealing, this is the final version of the product that I have developed. Like you can see, we have much more appealing background. There's a platform below the car, there's nice roof, and you can have a nice 360-degree look of the overall garage. And these are how the surrounding walls look like, and this is how I like to have a much more better presentation of whatever I try to build. So thank you again for providing this opportunity to present my coding skills by using AI tools. I really enjoyed this activity, and I look forward to hearing from you.